Officer John Garrido, retired Chicago Police Department lieutenant, never doesn't give you his opinion. He always tells you what he's saying.
He's the best. He's the best, and he's done so much. Well, he did so much as a Chicago Police lieutenant, obviously served the city for 30-plus years, and now is running the Garrido Stray Rescue Foundation. I have to say he's a station favorite when he brings in Sergeant Rubble.
Yeah, the dog.
We miss Sergeant Rubble.
Sergeant Rubble's great.
Not just any dog.
He was busy this morning. He and Rubble were, hanging.
They're making appearances.
Good morning, Sergeant. How are you?
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant. I just demoted you. I apologize.
Good morning. Well, you probably thought you were talking to Rubble.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway, thanks for coming on. Look, I ranted about this yesterday. I'll continue to rant about it. I am personally offended that the mayor couldn't be bothered to come to the press conference Sunday morning after the murder, the assassination, the Mexican drug cartel-like assassination of Officer Luis Huesca. You walk these streets, you risk your own life. What was your reaction to the mayor not being there?
It's infuriating. And I know some people will be like, oh, well, he says he was meeting with the family. Every mayor meets with the family, and they hold off on the press conference until he's done or she's done, and then they go out and do the press conference. Because not only do you have to show your support and respect to the family, but you also need to get out there and show your support and respect to the officers, the fellow officers out there that are also his blue family. And it just sends a message to all the officers that we're not the priority.
In the statement that was made, the official statement about while the mayor was meeting with the family, the timing you just brought up is important because the routine is, and the understood routine is when a nightmare like this happens, is you do what the lieutenant just said. And it's not hard. And you got a staff that'll tell you, okay, we're doing this first, then we're doing that. So what possibly could his reason be?
I'll tell you what his reason is. He needed to get out to a photo op at O'Hare Airport. They were doing a groundbreaking out there with other Illinois politicians, and he couldn't be bothered with taking time out of his very important schedule in the morning to go not only to see the family of the officer that was just murdered, but also to get out there and do that press conference because it was on the other side of the city and it wouldn't have been convenient for him. And, it's not like he has 130 police officers assigned to his detail. 130, which is about 100 more than Rahm Emanuel had and about 110 more than the Mayor Daley had. He doesn't have to drive anywhere. They drive you. They take him wherever he needs to go. There was absolutely no reason, and I'm sure the other politicians would have understood if he was going to be late getting out there.
Why does he have that big a detail?
He's important. I don't know why. So when
no, I understand. I understand he's important. Listen, I'll do the sarcasm. He's
sorry.
I understand he's important, but what possibly in a city that is so short of cops to even walk beats, what possible reason could there be to have that much of a force on call all the time for him?
There is no reason. So when Mayor Daley was in, he had 26 officers plus a commander and a sergeant that ran his detail. Then when Rahm got in, he actually lowered it, brought it down to about 16 officers. When Lightfoot got in, she took it next level and she brought it up to 115 officers. And at that time, we thought that is insane. She had just more than a dozen officers round the clock on her house and, the teams that follow around. And I mean, she just made it huge. Well, when Johnson got in, we thought, okay, well, maybe he'll reduce it. He doubled down on it and raised it another 15, so he's up to 130 now.
Oh, my God.
Well, that's and that ought to be bigger news and near, frankly, breaking news because I've never heard anybody talk about those numbers.
Nobody does talk about it, and I don't know why. I mean, I mention it all the time, but it's a fact. They can look it up.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up here.
The solidarity amongst Chicago Police Department when one of their own falls is just unmatched. And I'm sure you know, John, that the community supports you, the city supports you. I'm not talking about, who we're talking about now, but the city just supports you. And there's just a showing when the officer described that procession when one of your own falls, the procession where the officers line up and then they follow the body to the morgue. I mean, that's just a very solemn procession, but what a show of solidarity between the brothers and the sisters on the department.
Yeah, sadly, when something like this happens, immediately every district, every police district, every police unit, whoever they can send officers that are off duty will suit up and get out there. If they don't have time to throw the uniform on, they'll just go out there and get in line to show their support and respect. It's a big deal. It's losing a family member. It's hard. It's hard on the officers, and they really they pull together, and it's not just the officers, the firefighters, there are brothers and sisters and first responders as well. Everybody pulls together for it, and
without exception, you see officers come in from around the country.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that can come in, because one police family is all police families. And I mean, Lieutenant, you could speak to this better than anybody. I don't know how you could be standing there and see one of the fallen pass and think, there, but for the grace of God, could be me.
Right.
Right. No doubt. And, we've all been in situations, where just, in a split second, things go the wrong way. The officer that was just involved in the shootout with Dexter Reed, he got shot in the wrist. But if you look at the bullet holes in the car where Dexter Reed unloaded his weapon on the officer, you can see the bullets just missed where he was standing. I mean, we could have had 2 funerals within a few weeks.
Yeah. 11 or 12 shots, I think, reportedly he got off before the police even responded with fire.
Yeah, and as Gary McCarthy said the other day here, my advice would be don't shoot a cop.
Well, that's just it. It's the whole thing of, how does a traffic stop lead to a death? Well, it wasn't the traffic stop that led to the death. It was him shooting and trying to kill police officers that led to his death.
But, what you say something important right there, I think. Instead of, he was, and I'm using the air quotes, he was just pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt. That's illegal. That's a good reason for a traffic stop. And tinted windows are illegal. So there's justification for either of those.
If I could speak to that for a second, if you watch the video, when the female officer, she gets out of the car and she walks up, he slowly rolls the window down, and you can see there he's just glaring at her, and he's got a mask on. And then he rolls the window back up. Her suspicions obviously were correct. Something was up there. But you had a guy, what we now know, because he had the gun, obviously, is a guy out driving around by himself with a mask on, with a loaded gun, not wearing his seatbelt. That would indicate that that's somebody who wants to jump out of the car right away. Maybe he's going to commit a robbery. He's obviously up to something. There's something going on there. So, he didn't have a seatbelt on. It wasn't just that. It's the totality of the circumstances. Those officers saw something wasn't right, and their gut was correct, and that's why they pulled him over.
And that's in and of itself part of the failure of COPA, because citizens don't understand the training and the instincts of a cop in real time, and what needs to be done in a shootout. And none of them have been involved in a gunfight. So the idea that citizens can tell you guys how to do the job is ridiculous.
And there's parks nearby, there's schools nearby, there's residents nearby. They could have prevented a bigger tragedy.
And you just said it, in real time. Life doesn't happen in slow motion or frame by frame. So they can pick it apart all they want, and the amount of gunshots that they fired, even the way that the media has been in portraying it, this whole spin that they want to do. It's like they're hoping or wishing that there would be rioting in the streets, so they have something else to cover. The way they put it out there,
I would, honestly, I'd say that. I know newsrooms and newsroom conversations don't go that way, but the way they do go, they go the way of the people that are in them, and we have reporters who 20 years ago wouldn't have been hired to be interns because the news business has been so depressed with less advertising revenue and less money in the business. And for that reason, you've got a lack of skilled people in those jobs who previously would have reported it a different way. Because you want to talk about the number of gunshots, how about you talk about the number of gunshots that were pumped into Luis Huesca?
There you go.
Correct. Correct. And Officer Preston last year, same thing, on her way home from work, near her house, gets out of her car, and it's almost as if they see that the officer is wearing a uniform once they realize that, and then they go up next level from a robbery to an assassination, like you said.
Right.
I want to talk about the good work you're doing. Can you hang for a sec?
Sure.
All right, stand by. We appreciate it. And we probably should check with his sergeant because, maybe he needs to go for a walk.
Rebel needs a stretch break.
Right. Back in the Big 89 with WLS and retired CPD Lieutenant John Garrido. Andrea?
You have just done so much. The Garrido Stray Rescue Foundation is thriving. Tell us a little bit about the foundation, and you have a new fundraiser, a connection going on with Wintrust.
Yes. So, Garrido Stray Rescue Foundation, we started really in 2014, but we became official in 2017. And our primary focus is to get stray animals back home to their families. And then those that don't, we get them into new homes. And we've been really doing pretty good. The network has grown so big now that we have about an 89% return to owner rate. And if you compare that to like animal control, no fault of their own, but they're at about 23% return to owner. And then the rest of them, we try to get them to homes, the ones we can. We also have a animal abuse court advocacy program now, and we have volunteers that show up and follow cases of animal abuse. We do microchipping events. It really has taken on a life of its own, and the network has grown big.
Yeah, and there's now it's the Color the Buck contest, which we're printing up some of the forms in here for your grandkids. But for every buck turned into any Wintrust branch within the city limits or Norwich by May 1st, the rescue gets money from Wintrust Bank. All you have to do is print the flyer out, color the buck, and then turn it in. So where can we get these?
Yeah, it's easy. You can go right onto our Facebook page at Garrido Stray Rescue Foundation on Facebook. That's where we're most active. Or you can even walk into a Wintrust Bank and ask for it's called $1, and then you can take it home, color it in, and bring it back. And for everyone that's turned in before May 1st, we get $1.
What about this pizza delivery guy? Tell me this story.
So that's Vietnam veteran Ernie. I know I pronounced his name wrong. Imoni.
Mm-hmm.
He has been delivering pizzas. He's 82 years old. He just turned 82. Or he's about to be 82. I'm sorry, April 30th. And he's been delivering pizzas for Joe's Pizza on Higgins, 5862 North Higgins for 35 years, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing one more delivery before he went home. And when he got out of the car, guys came up behind him. They whacked him in the head. He went down, and they carjacked him. They took his car. So thankfully, he survived. He's a tough guy. The Gladstone Park Chamber of Commerce in our community, we came together. We put a fundraiser together for him. We actually did a GoFundMe to raise enough money to buy him another car because his car was led on a chase and crashed, and they totaled his car. We were hoping to raise about $20,000 to get him a new car, and so far the GoFundMe is over $61,000.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
That is tremendous.
So that money's going to go to him, so that way he can deliver pizza if he wants to, but not so he has to. And then the pizza place that he works for over at Joe's Pizza on Higgins, we're having this fundraiser on May 1st, the day after his birthday. And we've got some special guests there. Tony Priolo from Piccolo Sogno. You've never been there. It's amazing, but he's going to be one of the chefs. I'm going to be making pizzas. Frank DeMonte, who's the owner. And am I allowed to say a reporter from another station?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's fine.
John Garcia from Channel 7 News.
No, he's stealing from the company.
No, he's great. But Joe's awesome pizza. May 1st, you got to make a reservation, 7 until 9. Again, it's 5862 North Higgins. But if you order pizza that night, right, John, 10% all the pizza orders are going to go to the fund.
Correct. Yes. Absolutely, and it should be a great event. John and I used to make pizzas together right out of high school in Streamwood at Briano's Pizza. So we're gonna, have to dust off our pizza boards and get to it.
You're supposed to slow down in retirement, but you're just going a mile a minute.
Well, you're doing great things.
Good that you do.
No, you're doing great things. And by the way, we appreciate you breaking the news that Brandon Johnson apparently can talk about defunding the police, take officers out of schools, but have 130 cops on his security detail. So,
oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Ask him about it.
Well, we'd love to, but he hasn't had the courage to show up here. Because the first thing would be, why were you not at the press conference? The second thing would be, what do you need with 130 cops? And the third thing would be, why have your statements not specifically addressed a cop killing? How's that for the first three? Do those work?
Exactly. Yeah, he could put 80 of those police officers to ride the trains and think about the impact that would have.
There you go.
Right. Aren't we 2,000 officers down on the street, or is it more than that?
We were 2,000 last year.
Yeah,
now it's more than
that. So
that.
more than 2,000 down, and we got 100 more than Brandon Johnson realistically needs for protection.
Correct.
It's just so outrageous. Thank you for telling the truth. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the good work you do.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right,
Thank
see
you,
bud.
John. We'll
Scott
have him in
Garrido.
with Sergeant Rubble next time. But again, it's May 1st,
Oof.
7 to 9 p.m., 5862 North Higgins for the fundraiser. Isn't that cool?
Did you hear the
You
barking?
okay? I did hear that. I don't think that's Rubble. I don't know who that is.
That was me barking.
A snort.
And can we link all those good works?
Oh, yeah, already on it.
Okay.